Alright, so this is the second video in the exam pack, and this is going to be a video on equations, solving for x, so vergelykings waar jy vra sê los op vir x. So this is once again like simplification, a question you're supposed to get full marks for. So let's quickly have a look at something easy. Let's say x bracket x plus 2 equal to 0. So when your two terms or whatever you have is already in brackets and your right hand side is equal to 0, it means that this equation has already been factorized. Okay? Meaning you have to do nothing fancy. Alright? It's not necessary to multiply out your brackets because I've already factorized it for you. So you have to basically identify two brackets. Okay, so we have x plus 2, our first bracket. And then our second bracket will just be x. And when you take your first bracket, which is x, and you put it equal to 0, or in Afrikaans skryf jy of, and then you take your second bracket, which is x plus 2, and you put it equal to 0. Easy. Alright, so you take your first bracket, put it equal to 0, which is x equal to 0, and your second bracket, x plus 2 equal to 0. And now you just solve for x. Okay, so here x is already alone. Here I have a problem. Here's a plus 2. So to get an x alone, I have to take over my plus 2. It becomes minus 2. So x is in fact equal to negative 2. Let's look at another one like this. So let's say if I tell you 2x is equal to x minus 4 equal to 0. Same thing. This is already in brackets and my right hand side is equal to 0. Which means this is already in factorized form. So you're not going to do anything fancy. You're going to find two brackets, so 2x and x minus 4, and you're going to put it equal to 0. So 2x equal to 0 or x minus 4 equal to 0. And now you just have to solve for x. So what is bothering me here is my 2. So to get rid of that 2, I have to divide both sides by 2. So x is going to be equal to 0. And then this side, I have a minus 4, which I need to take over. It's going to become plus 4. So x is equal to 4. Alright, so this is the easiest one. So when we try to solve for x, you check, is it already in factorized form or not? Now let's say that it's not in factorized form. So they give us something like x squared minus 25 equal to 0. Now, I don't have brackets yet, so there's nothing I can put equal to 0. So the first step now is you need to go and factorize this. Now, we'll try and make a video on factorization, but you need to go and factorize this. Now, remember you have 5 methods. So your first one is a common factor. Okay, 'n gemeenskaplike factor. Your second method is the difference of two squares. Die verskil van twee vierkante. Your third one is trinomials. Okay, jou derde ene is jou drieterm. The fourth one is grouping. So groepering. And then the last one is your cubes, jou derde magte. So now you must go and ask yourself, which one of these options could it be? Well, I already know that it's definitely not a trinomial because there's only 2 terms. It's also not grouping because there's not 4 terms, and it's also not cubes because there's no to the power of 3. So either it's a common factor or it's a difference of 2 squares. So I ask myself, is there a common factor? Is there something common between x squared and minus 25? No. So I'm only left with my option of the difference of 2 squares. Now I know when I'm working with a difference of 2 squares, I'm going to have 2 brackets that are the same. One is going to have a plus, and the one is going to have a minus. And then I need to go and find the square root of x squared as my first term. And then I have to go and find the second term, which is 25, and I need to find the square root of that. So basically, this is what you do. Plus, minus, and then you put the square root over the x squared over 25, and that leaves me with x plus 5 and x minus 5 equal to 0. Okay, great. Now this is factorized, but remember, you still need to get the value of x. So I go and find my two brackets. So the one bracket is going to be x plus 5, and my other bracket is going to be x minus 5. And I put it equal to 0. So I'm going to say x plus 5 equal to 0, or x minus 5 equal to 0. And now I have to ask myself, if I want to get x alone, I need to take this plus 5 over, and it's going to become minus 5. So x is equal to minus 5. Or, here I also need to get rid of my negative 5, so the opposite becomes plus 5. So x is equal to 5. Alright, so either you're going to get a question where it's already factorized, or you're going to get an x to the power of 2, and then you know, I need to go and factorize this. Alright. You can also get the fourth one, which is basically the same thing, factorization. So I have minus 5x equal to x minus 18. Now I have to ask myself, is there an x squared anywhere in here? No. I only have an x and a number. Alright? Which means this is a linear equation. Okay, this is a lineaire vergelijking. This I've been doing since primary school. So if there's nothing fancy here, no x to the power of 2, then all I'm going to do is I need to get my x's on the one side and my numbers on the other side. So to get my x's on the one side, I'm going to take this positive x over, and it's going to become minus x. So minus 5 minus 1 gives me minus 6x equals to negative 18. And now I have to divide both sides by negative 6. So x is in actual fact equal to 3. And that's that. Alright, so these are the only 4 ways, or actually 3 ways in which they can ask you to solve for x. Firstly, they give it in factorized form, so you have brackets and it's equal to 0. Then you just split your brackets. Or they give you an x squared and no brackets, then you have to go and make your own brackets by factorizing. And then your last option is your linear equations. So there's nothing fancy there, just normal x's and numbers. So I get my x's on the one side and my numbers on the other side.